Hello. Thank you. So good to see you all again here this year at PyTexas. Literally the best Python, don't tell my employer that, Python conference to me that there is. I'm Jacob Coffey. I work at the Python Software Foundation on the infrastructure team. And today I just kind of wanted to talk about PEP810, and I'm going to use a fictional, but it's actually totally real, company called The Bakery. And we'll walk through what PEP810 is and what you could use in your libraries or applications. Just some quick notes. We're hiring on my team. We're hiring for an infrastructure engineer to work on infrastructure that powers PyPI and Python.org and PyCon US and so many other things. It's kind of mind-boggling. But we're also hiring, we just posted a engineer role, a software engineer, to help build sustainability into PyPI. So if those things interest you, I did put the job link in the PyTexas post. If you want to apply for that, go right ahead. Super excited to review all of those resumes. So what we're going to cover, why PEP810 is a big deal for some people, especially if you're a web framework and you provide like a CLI. To that, you'll notice if Python people say like Python is slow or whatever, and it's usually because Python imports the world. So PEP810 basically introduces this explicit lazy syntax, and that just says, hey, instead of importing literally the entire world, only import the things that you need. And when you encounter some module that calls an import, well, you can import it then, but not when the whole application runs. We're not going to do a live demo because yesterday 3 people tried that and failed, and I'm now very, very scared to do that. So I might be a little short. A little bit of real-world impact, and you can see that in the PEP document about who has used lazy imports in a custom CPython implementation. And then use cases beyond CLI tools, because this talk is really just about CLI tools, and how to adopt it into your projects. One thing I would like to say is, oh, wait, hold on. No, we want to be lazy. So the problem is that, and it's not just CLI tools, like I just mentioned, Python's eager import model at the moment loads the entire world at startup. And you can kind of see, hopefully you can see well, that we time a non-lazy thing, and it has a pretty slow startup. So, but there's also some memory bloat problems, and then we run into like cold start attacks with things like lambdas and things like that. You don't want to have that heavy import right at the start because you need quick action. And then also right now we have a lot of if type checking blocks. If you're into the typing world, people will do if type checking and then import some heavy module, and it's very hacky and it has some cost there. So what can we do about it? Well, we have PEP810. So it adds this explicit keyword called lazy. And it's basically, to sum it up, import a module only when it's first accessed, not when the import statement is executed. And the good news is it's a real thing. You hear a lot about PEPs sometimes if you keep up with that kind of thing, or if you're on Reddit like I am perpetually. You'll see like, oh, PEP XYZ was just proposed and it's some crazy thing, and there's like a 4-year process and people arguing on discuss.python.org and various other mediums. Well, it was actually accepted, and it's coming in Python 3.15, which is due to be released soon, end of this year maybe. I don't know the exact schedule. Well, so startup time reductions, some numbers I've pulled from the PEP. You can see things like 50 to 70% faster startup times, a little bit less memory usage, and we have a nice explicit syntax. So when you onboard a junior or something, it's not like, why does this thing not work, or how does it work? It's there. It says lazy import this, and it's explicit, so it's nice to reason about. So here's a little bit of what we have now at the bakery. It's a very real business. So we're importing a few things. Bake imports collections and iter tools, and deliver does some web requests, and then the inventory goes out to a database. And that, when you do like breadcuddle, if it's a CLI tool, breadcuddle -- help, it's going to load all of that, and it's very slow. But with the syntax now, it's lazy import the things, and when you do bake.run or breadcuddle -- help, it's very fast, which is very good. So how does it work? So when your Python interpreter sees lazy import HTTPX, it actually does not import HTTPX. Instead, it creates like this little proxy object. It's very lightweight, and that keeps things fast, and that goes into the namespace. Let me sidebar here. I'm no expert in this. I had no idea what this was or how it worked, but I wanted to learn it. So what is the best way to learn a thing? Apparently, it's giving a talk on it. So anyway, it creates the lightweight proxy object, and that object goes into the namespace where HTTPX, the import, would normally be, but there's no like file I/O or no code execution happening yet. So we just have this proxy object sitting in our namespace, and it's just waiting. There's no network code loaded. There's no dependencies pulled in. Your startup stays fast because there's nothing heavy imported. And like I just mentioned, that's why things like your help subcommand can be fast, because it never touches the proxy. See, it's loading. It's very slow. But the moment you actually use HTTPX in the call, like calling httpx.get or .post, Python's going to intercept that attribute access, and that does the actual import. And the proxy object is magically and transparently like replaced with the real module, but your code never knows the difference. So if you never access it, it doesn't load, and that's literally the whole trick. It's a super simple talk, and if I could end it right here, like just use it, it's great. So I think, yeah, okay. So we parse the code, creates the proxy, and then we wait, and then we access it. Command is never run. I'm just repeating myself here a little bit, but a lot of CLI invocations are lightweight, and you want them to be fast, like the help text and subcommand discovery, completions, and all that. So again, we're skipping this live demo. It's very scary times. But we can see in the live demo what would have happened if it did work. Was that we benchmarked before with the eager imports, and we saw a 0.234 second cost, and then we do the lazy version, which is just that with the lazy import. So you could say a pretty big reduction in the usage. Again, this is part of the live demo, so we're not doing that. But this is all the code is available, so you can run it yourself. And then back into the benchmark results from that live demo that we totally just did. We'll see that our help command was 23% faster, the module import time 26% faster, and the inventory command was not much faster. So lazy imports is not just a magic tool to make all of the things faster automatically. And one thing to note was this was done with the Kappa CLI framework. And if you can try like Click or Piper or any of the other CLI libraries, you'll see like varying results, and kind of wondering if lazy imports would help speed up those frameworks. It would. So the real world impact on this, though, is that people like Meta, with their internal Python fork called Cinder, saw a 70% startup reduction and 40% in memory savings. And for a company of that size, it's very big. But if you're just maintaining a library like Litestar, we have a CLI tool, and we're not some gigantic company, so it could help gigantic companies and just you locally alike, just the same. HRT also saw a great improvement in the import time, and for a trading firm where milliseconds matter for, startup time matters a lot. They also contributed to the PEP810 development. And then for PySci, which is Qt for Python, the bindings, using that, you get like a 35% startup improvement. And those, so again, these aren't experiments. These are battle tested on their own forks with their own implementation of lazy done. And so we know from those experiences that it's a real thing that will help everyone out if you choose to use it. So beyond CLI tools, though, where else can you use it? Type annotations. It eliminates the need for if type checking blocks, which is great because I think they're very ugly. They're very error prone. Type checkers kind of get funky with them. And so now you can just do lazy import foo and you're done. Again, that module is just going to load at runtime when you actually use it. Test suites, things like PyTest and unit test. You have gigantic test suites. The discovery phase takes a long time, and a lot of that is due to imports. So making those lazy will really help. And then plugin architectures, so VS Code extensions or PyTest extensions or plugins, Litestar plugins. If you're not going to use the world of OTel, it's in the standard library, but if you're not going to ever use it, why do I have to import it? Well, this would help with that. And then also for serverless, things like Lambdas, it's going to really help that cold start. And then also GUI and GUI applications as well. So how do you get there? How do you migrate? First, I would recommend profiling what you have now, because you really want to know if it's worth pursuing this thing. There's like a mental tax to knowing how it works and onboarding people, and then you don't want to, like you saw earlier with the inventory command or module, there was no really like benefit for that. So benchmark it first and get your current import time, and then identify. You can start by identifying the heavily used modules, things like HTTPX or Pandas or NumPy, anything else that's heavy. You could kind of benchmark that, and then selectively add lazy to those and test it out and see how it works for you. So once you've done that, you've got a moderately faster application, and then you need to test again for like side effects, because one thing that this does not do is solve things like circular imports. It's just going to defer them. So if you have a circular import, you know right away when you run your Python app, it crashes. But if you lazily import it, you're going to get, maybe it's some web app thing. You're going to get until the user clicks the button that runs the background process, and then it's going to trigger that reification and load that lazy object, flip it around, and make it real. Well, then it's going to crash because you have a circular import and you didn't know it at the time. And then finally, I use Hyperfind for the demo, and the GitHub repo. You can see this for the benchmarks and the live demo screens. But measure your improvement with a tool like Hyperfind, and then you can kind of compare that to the first step, which was the old import time. All right. One other thing to go back, you don't really want to, again, like I said, for the second step, identifying the heavy things, you don't want to be too proactive in optimizing code that doesn't need it. So really look for things that are greater than 50 milliseconds or around that, and then work your way down until you get what you want. So some gotchas for this. So imagine your module imports or configures logging at import time. Well, that happens now, like the first time you use it, and that can cause some surprising behavior. Also, as of whenever I designed this talk, MyPy and Pywrite and TY, I don't think fully support the lazy syntax yet, so they're going to freak out. And you might just need to put some type ignore comments in there to get around that. And then also the import errors, like I just mentioned. If you're missing a dependency or something in a module that only gets imported now because you added the lazy syntax, well, you're not going to know that until that module is called. So you really want to make sure you know what you're doing, not just blanket find and replace import with lazy import. So, and it's not always faster. So again, it's best for like conditional imports and things like that. Some notes from the PEP doc is that you cannot import lazy inside of functions. I don't think you can use lazy imports inside of try except blocks. Always use modules. You don't want to just lazily import those, so keep those eager. And then you can document for your team or for future you, more importantly, which things are lazy. And so when a bad thing happens, you can kind of reason about better what the problem is. So I don't think you actually need this now because there are some builds available, but there's a CPython fork available on GitHub that has this implementation built in. Basically, it just is like a sort of unofficial, like here's our proof of concept, and you could use that. But I think now you can just build from the 315 branch if it is merged. I'm not exactly caught up with all of that yet. PyCon US is a very busy time for us, so I haven't gotten to check in on that. So a few of the design principles, CPython, one of the greatest things there is explicit is better than implicit. So you see exactly, when you use the lazy keyword, you see exactly what the lazy is there. It's very nice to see. There's no like surprises or some weird like environment variable or global flags or something weird that would make that not work. And then it's very local, so it's only going to affect that one thing. It's not like adding lazy to your import stack is going to change anything else. It's just for that one line. And then it's very granular. So again, it's per import control, which is very nice. So before I do wrap up, there are some resources for you, and I just skipped this. You don't want to know that yet. So you can see the PEP text with a whole lot more information, some ideas that they wanted to try that were rejected, some frequently asked questions that go way more into the depth of the CPython internals about like how this works, so you can learn it more from someone that's very familiar with it, that's not me. So we have our breadcuddle demo repository, and it's just on my GitHub at /jacobcoffee/breadcuddle. And then that CPython fork that I mentioned a moment ago, it's actually in a different organization just for the people that were building the PEP. It's just called Lazy Imports Cabal, and the repository is CPython still. And then where to get Hyperfine, because you should totally use that everywhere. I'm not like sponsored by them or anything, but it's a very good tool. It's github.com/sharkdp/Hyperfine. It's a very, 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 very nice tool, not just for this, but for many other things. So I would like to invite you all to PyCon US. It is in Long Beach this year. It's not Pittsburgh, so it'll be sunny and nice and great weather. There's a beach close and all that. It's the 13th through the 19th. And why is it so long? Well, we have 2 days of tutorials, and that's all we have. So you can dive deeper into Python with some really great tutorials. I know Al's giving one, and many other people are. And then our main core conference with the talks, like our new AI and security track, those are Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And then we have 2 days, which is the 18th and 19th of development sprints. And so if you ever wanted to like work alongside some CPython core developers or get involved with other projects like Beware, I'll be there doing a sprint on the Python infrastructure. I'm not sure exactly what we'll be doing yet, but there's a lot to do. Those kind of things you can join in on with the sprints. And while PyTexas is one of the best regional, or while PyTexas is the best regional conference for Python, PyCon US is the official biggest national conference there is in the United States. And again, it's full of some of the most amazing Python talks. I think there's over 100 talks and many, many, many sessions. including those tutorials. All right, well, thank you. Yeah, go try out PEP810, not just for CLIs. Again, use it in a lot of ways that will hopefully improve your workflow and startup time.
It is safe to say this talk generated a number of questions. So we're trying to get through these real quick, or at least as many as we can, and then we can take the rest to Discord or after. Okay. So first off, and you kind of touched on this, but why not just make lazy imports the default?
Because, well, okay, this is one of my frequently asked questions. Why not use lazy imports everywhere? There's not a cost to use it. Well, okay, Mark Shannon told me there was a cost. There's a very minimal cost for using lazy imports, and that's fine. But just blanket, like I said, blanket using lazy imports everywhere can end up in a bad time. You might hit some circular dependency or some other weird thing that makes your program crash, and in some very weird cases, it could actually make things slower.
Fair. Sorry, trying to read. My eyes are getting old, Jacob.
Same.
Someone asked what drove it to become a thing now? Obviously, I think it's been a discussion for years. Why are we doing this now?
There was a group of very influential people that saw this to fruition. It was very fast PEP to get done, 810 at least in that aspect. I think because it's useful. So you think about this, and if you look at the PEP, the authors are like Bob at Meta or Joe at NVIDIA or Carol at XYZ Corp. And you're like, oh, these are gigantic tech companies. Obviously, they want Python improvements, like speed improvements, because that's going to affect their infrastructure and startup times and things like that. Well, it helps also. For a library I maintain, Litestar, our CLI is super slow because it imports the world. So it helps them, sure, but this is helping the broader Python community, in more ways than just big tech.
What I hear you saying is everyone can think it's a great idea, but it takes people to bring momentum to get a PEP moving and make it happen.
Right.
So if you have an idea you think would make Python better, there's a process to start. One more question, and then I'll let you get off the stage, because I think this is a good distinction to make. Someone posted, we can already import a module inside a function. What benefits does the lazy import offer beyond that?
That's a great question. I think that effectively, it's not the same thing, but you are moving that import into the call time. But this makes it explicit, and then it's an official language way to do a thing. You can have all your imports at the top, and it's I don't know, for me it's cleaner. For other people that are much smarter than me, they have way better technical reasons, but the having all my imports in one place and knowing what I have instead of digging into class and then this submodule or this method that has 14 imports for some reason, that's painful for me.
Well, in the type checking example you gave, you can't really cage that inside a function call. That has to be module level.
Right.
So it helps there too. Okay, I'll let you take the rest to Discord or in person, but thank you so much, Jacob.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.